There once was a little developer, their name starting with B. They made a cool game and everyone played, it was quite the sight to see. The next big thing, they called it, a game to end all games. The gameplay was tight and the artwork was nice and it was out here taking names. But then came the unfortunate day, where the game started to change. The stage was set, but the devs had left. The decision seemed deranged. The studio had worked on another, leaving this game in the dust. They promised some more, but our hopes were sore, so this game being good was a must. And this is where our story splits. One has already ended. Bungie has a chance to change the dance, but can their errors be amended? Wow, I was way off.
Remember Overwatch? Me neither. Overwatch was arguably one of the best shooter games ever created, and Blizzard had struck gold with it, making it not only one of the most popular, but also one of the most profitable games in recent memory. But if you're familiar with the history of this game, and also what has happened just recently, you know where this is going. Overwatch 1, I hate that I even have to specify that, had issues. There is no denying that. There were serious balance problems, monetization was scummy to say the least, and the issues only began to compound as the game's lifetime went on. Does that sound familiar? I hope that sounds familiar. Players put up with it though, trooping through the mess of metas like Double Shield and Goats because, well, they loved their game. They spent money and played just the same, even though they knew Overwatch was in a far worse off state than when it started. But why? Why would a player base go through the PvP equivalent of hell? Sound familiar? Does that sound familiar? Even when their game was falling apart at the seams. Well, Blizzard had promised another game, Overwatch 2, a new coat of paint, a fresh start. It included a whole new PvE mode and story content and awesome 5v5 gameplay because dear god anything but goats again. It would be free to play in the next big evolution in the hero shooter genre, which sounded amazing, and the quicker we could get it, the better. What would it cost though? Development of Overwatch 1. Overwatch 1's content cycle screeched to a halt, with little to no content releasing in a 2-year span. The game died, which was unfortunate, but hey, the studio promised a bigger and better project on the way. We could put up with Eventually, that bigger and better project was shipped, with only half the game. That's right, PvE was completely missing from Overwatch 2. The whole reason for the game to exist wasn't there. And then shortly after, PvE got cancelled. The reason that Overwatch 1 died was cancelled. And bonus points, Overwatch 1 was completely taken offline. This went over well. That story has run its course, and possibly Blizzard can fix this. Small update, no they cannot. What most of you are here for though is the game that's currently alive, Destiny 2, and how things are starting to look really hairy over in Bungo land. If you've been on the internet at all in the Destiny 2 sphere, you've seen one of these two videos from Grenader Jake or Astacross. Regardless of your feelings on Jake, because come on now. Seeing a usually positive and upbeat force like Astacross getting, for lack of a better term, pissed means something is up. In both of their videos, they point out how it feels like our game is funding another game. But is that what's happening? Is Destiny 2 becoming Bungie's version of the next Overwatch? First of all, let's address the big issues plaguing Destiny right now. Balance, monetization, and lack of content. These are all three of the issues that got Overwatch 1 killed, but they're a little different in our case. Balance isn't nearly the issue in Destiny as it was in Overwatch. Yes, there are problems, don't get me wrong, but I don't think anybody's going to be comparing Immortal meta to Double Shield anytime soon. That's not to say the game doesn't have its issues though. Well, Titans, Champions, Root of Nightmares, Ghosts of the Deep, all different fragments of a deeper seated balance issue. It's not the dagger that Brig was, but it's more like death by 1,000 paper cuts. Then there's the monetization. Destiny 2's monetization, I think, is comfortably the worst monetization system that has ever existed in gaming, period. I don't need to explain this. Astacross did a way better job, just go watch his video. But I think when people are looking fondly back on loot boxes, you have a serious problem. Finally, there's a lack of content. Destiny 2 core PvE gets barely any new strikes in favor of usually samey seasonal activities. PvP is even worse, essentially never getting new content and breaking faster than it can be fixed, and Dares is dares. It should be a lot better than it actually is, but it's fine, I guess. And then there's Gambit. Gambit is dead. All of these symptoms are very reminiscent of how the fall of Overwatch began, and it doesn't help that Bungie has announced their new PvP game just as Destiny 2's PvP enters the worst state it's ever been in, which is exactly what happened when Overwatch 1 started to have issues and they announced Overwatch 2. But can we say we've been abandoned? No. Destiny 2 is quite vehemently still in development, with a new expansion on the way and seasonal content continuing to insist upon its own existence. However, I don't think anybody is denying the fact that a lot of the things that have made this game great in the past have either been left in the dirt or locked behind absurd paywalls and progression. The game does still get updates. We haven't gone 2 years without a significant patch like Overwatch 1 did, but it doesn't feel like it's the right content. Was Destiny abandoned might not be the right question then. Maybe we should be asking, was Destiny abandoned in favor of another game? Once again, the answer is no. A lot of people insinuate or outright say that Destiny 2, specifically PvP, got abandoned in favor of Marathon. While the validity of that statement is dubious, there is some compelling evidence to suggest that, at least for the PvP side, they might be right. The Destiny 2 team has not been gutted, like some people say. The team hasn't even changed in size since Taken King, which maybe it should, but that's a different issue. What I will say is that the Destiny 2 team got a really bad haircut. A ton, and I mean a ton, of very skilled and very experienced senior developers moved from Destiny to Marathon. I'm sure the people that replaced them were also very skilled and awesome, but at the same time, when there is that much of a talent migration at once, a little destabilization is bound to happen. I'm not saying that Bungie started to fall apart after this, but it's clear things have changed for this game fundamentally since that leadership shakeup. For reference, a majority of the team that left was the team responsible for Forsaken. Take that as you will. Not to mention the absolutely awful and horrendously expensive monetization practices have only led people to feel like maybe the only point of Destiny is to fund the projects that Bungie seems keen to move their high-end talent to. And even though they're wrong, they've got the right spirit. Alright, check off my one meme reference per video. Destiny 2 makes bank, and it's not Bungie's only project anymore. They have 5 projects minimum, with possibly more we don't even know about yet, and Destiny is quite literally funding that. Now, to say Destiny 2 has become Bungie's personal bank account is essentially true, but no matter how hard we all feel this, me included, there's really no evidence to say that it's been dropped in favor of the other games. We can't make a call based on perception alone, and Bungie hasn't told us anything like Blizzard did. I hate to say it, but that's definitely intentional. So what has happened? Bungie has gotten behind the ball. Simple as that. They haven't stopped trying, and like good old Joey Blackburn likes to vapidly remind us every so often, there are plenty of people who really want to make this game the best it can be. Unfortunately, it's pretty clear that things aren't getting done one way or another. This might have something to do with the higher-ups at Bungie or tumult on the dev side, who knows, but at some point, there really isn't an excuse. You either didn't make it or you couldn't make it, and that is a very important distinguishing factor. Let's use Gambit, for example. When you have a game mode, a core game mode, that hasn't received any content for years, that's ridiculous. There isn't just an, oh, we're trying our best tweet you can wave this away with. A core game mode you created has not received an update for years. There are really only 2 good explanations to this. One, Bungie really has abandoned this game in favor of others and they're just lying about it. This is what Blizzard did for a while with Overwatch 1, and though I don't want it to be true, I wouldn't be shocked if this is the case. But there is a more likely explanation. 2, they are telling the truth and actually are trying their best. Crazy thought there. Maybe they simply haven't been given the appropriate time or resources to actually work on said game mode by the company at large. And before you go,
wait, no, hold on. They actually made $3.6 billion.
I don't think you know how companies work. So much more goes on behind the scenes in game development than we could possibly ever know. And it's likely these teams just straight up can't make the content. It's not that they won't, it's not that they didn't, it's that they can't. It's not 100% on the game devs. They're just doing their jobs. They wouldn't get hired if they were bad and never made anything. In both cases, Blizzard and Bungie, it always has been and always will be on the corporation to make the decisions necessary to facilitate these devs. Blizzard made their decision, and they chose wrong. And guess what? People flamed the Overwatch devs for not delivering, even when many devs confirmed that they had worked on PvE and it was entirely possible to finish the game mode. Blizzard just didn't want to shell out the bones necessary to complete it. Bungie has time to make the right decision. And you know what happens every time we all collectively say that the game is in the worst state ever and it can't possibly get worse? We have one of the best eras in Destiny's history right afterwards. But what needs to happen for us to get there instead of here? Honestly, not much at all, just some tightening of the loose bolts. Step 1 is to simplify the monetization system. It doesn't even require in-game changes, just make this all one thing and the game is already astronomically better off with a way lower bar for entry. I do think that most of this should be made free by now, but even if they don't want to do that, showing a new player this is way easier than showing them this. Who knows what's going on behind the scenes? Unfortunately for Blizzard, we found out, and it wasn't pretty. But I have confidence in Bungie, a company notorious for pulling the fat out of the fire. If they can learn from the mistakes others have made and make a couple of good moves, suddenly we've gone from total community derailment to right back on track. I know you probably expected Debbie Downer to come out in this video, but if we're being realistic, the real world isn't black and white. It's not all light and darkness. Good people make bad things and bad people make good things all the time, but the best people are the ones who can make the bad things good. Where we go from here, I don't know. I'm not gonna get up in arms for a corporation if they make a bad decision, but at least people want to think a little more critically before going after each other's throats. I don't want to use my platform, however small, to make people burn bridges before they're ever built. But what do you think? Feel free to harass me in the comment section because 1, it's funny, and 2, several of you are probably very upset right now, and if you don't decompress in the comment section, you'll probably explode. So go ahead, get it out of your system. Alright, there you go. If you feel like it, like and subscribe, and dear heaven above, I swear I'll finish that Crucible series soon. Who am I kidding? I'm never gonna finish the series in my life. Thanks for watching thus far, and I'll catch you in the next one. See ya!
Your time is up.